Anyone want to start it off? Any success story, any wins, anything they've learned that's been working? Going once, going twice. All right. We're a lively bunch this morning. Um, well, I was gonna, kind of, because this today we're gonna be doing the master class on pain points for seniors and their families, and all the different things. But what I wanted to do is start it off and just say, like, I know what I do, but every night I'll get on a piece of paper or on my laptop, and I'll do my 10 non-negotiables for the next day. And I write all the 10 most productive things I must do the next day. Um, Wake up, I review my goals again, I review my 10 daily negotiables, and then the whole day I'm just making sure I do those 10 negotiables. Does anyone do anything similar or a version of that or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. There are times where I can't get to it the night before, but um, maybe it's just my anxiety that forces me to have to do that the night before so I can hit the ground running the next day. I've learned that if I have too many of those, paralyzation takes over, and paralysis by analysis, and you're trying to get too many things done. So you do have to keep it fewer. Um, but I think I struggle with the fires that pop up that next day that totally throw that whole card off, you know. Uh, but yeah, plan ahead if you're doing that. I have an app I use for iPhone called Priorities, and it's very expansive and maybe too much, but it allows me to keep track of everything and do a lot of forward thinking. If I'm looking at that and utilizing it, I can see problems and holes in my systems and cut them off before they become an issue. So
Love it. So priorities, an app for non-negotiables. Anybody else? So I usually do mine. Mine's based on my 5 pillars of what I do to get business. And I'll look through my goals. I'll look through my pillars and I'll say, okay, I know like one of mine, I have to make contact with 16 people every single day because that's how I get through my 352 people. And I'll just make sure that is my number one thing. I know that's what drives my business. I know that's what keeps my, me in the top 1%. So I just make sure that that is the number one thing I do. And then I make sure that I'm really being intentional about it. So I pull up my CRM, before I make my phone calls, and I dial my phone calls. I also have a black book. I'm kind of old school where it's a folder with all my like client hot sheets. So if I'm looking for more business, that will go on to one of my non-negotiables. If my pipeline full like it is right now, then I don't go into that one because I don't want to get too full of a business. Um, my 20 is plenty, so I have 20 different professionals that I want to keep solidifying the relationship. So every basically day, I make sure that one of my 20 is plenty. One of my database or one of my board of directors is on a phone call or is on a lunch date. And I make sure that I follow up with them, see if there's anything I can do to help their business, see if there's a way I can get in front of them that month, see if there's a lunch and learn that we can start planning, something of that nature. Another one of my non-negotiables, because it's one of my pillars, is an hour of social media engagement. So going on to social media, engaging with friends, engaging with hot clients, engaging with people who have birthdays, anniversaries, anything like that. I also believe in education. One of my brand is empowering through education. So I can't do that if I'm not empowering myself. So every day I try to at least spend 1 hour reading a book, getting a certification, doing some type of education, something that is going to further me along in my empowering through education. I truly believe in skill sets. One of the biggest skill sets I believe everyone needs to have is role playing. I role play a half an hour at least every single day. On Thursdays, I role play for 3 hours. so that I know there's no situation that I could ever be in that someone's going to catch me off guard and go, oh, what would, I don't know what to say. I always will have a slew of things to say. And I think it's funny because I believe it's the number two skill set you need. Action is number one. Constant, gentle pressure, action that's consistent is the number one skill set you need. But number two is role play. You need to know what to say, how to say it, when to say it, who to say it to. Um, and I would say 95% of agents never role play. And then they wonder why they don't convert. They wonder why they're having a hard time talking to their sphere or talking to board of directors or not knowing to say at open houses. Marketing, usually I only have marketing on Mondays. I try to do all my marketing on Mondays. But if there's something that needs to get done, I'll put it up there. And then just planning for different events. Uh, what's some non-negotiables for you guys? And we'll either put them in the chat or can speak up of their non-negotiables. I know Mark was talking earlier today about him having a breakout year this year. And I think, Mark, why don't you speak a little bit on that? Because I think everyone right now, we're on pace to do less deals, less transactions last year than this year. And most people use that as an excuse. And I believe that's something that says, hey, I'm going to gain market share.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, what did you want to hear?
Just kind of one start off with, your year last year to this year. I mean, when I asked you how business go, you said
Gotcha. Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. And I don't think most people would say that if when asking about their business this year.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I a blessing and a curse. My father in 2017, I found in his chair for 4 days when I stopped by for a surprise visit when I went to go to Madison to see some friends that I never saw that night. So 911 and biohazard cleanup and started a 6.5 year caretaking journey, and in and out of care facilities, independent, assisted, back and forth, skilled nursing, hospitals. 6.5 years of that. 5 self-pay periods started over again. He got evicted from one of the places, and through all that, I learned a lot about what to do, what not to do, who to connect with, what is needed, what works, what doesn't, and made some relationships because 3 of those moves were done with a senior placement specialist. The first 3 I did on my own. And what a night and day that was, especially as my business was getting busier anyway through the pandemic. And they saw me for who I was. A lot of people see me as like a quasi social worker. So they saw that in me being social workers themselves and knew I was in real estate. They didn't have any strong real estate partners. They just had your typical realtor. And so it was a sit down meeting with a placement specialist at a large firm here. What do you need? What is broken for you? How can I fix it? What do you need most? And then I designed programs for and about that to streamline their business, help them convert. So now they all convert at a higher percentage because of the things I do, what I do, and how I do it. And that created value throughout their organization. And out of 9 senior placement specialists, I'm working with 6 or 7 of them from their firm. And then I parlayed that and started just talking to other placement specialty companies, specialist companies, and just rinse and repeat. So I'm working with 3 placement specialist companies in my market. And through that, I met attorneys. Now I have 3 attorneys that are referring me business, as well as probably 10 to 12 senior placement specialists. It was just networking. It was just building relationships and doing things differently than others were doing. And that's all it is. And it's just gained momentum over the last 2.5 years, parlayed it. I'll probably hit at current pace 25 transactions this year.
Which is almost double from last year.
Yes, I did 16.
So we had a question in the chat is why was he evicted?
a 47-year lieutenant colonel who ran nurses and corpsmen in the military and an upper level IBM executive knows how to do things better than the people taking care of him. And when things don't go your way, you can't throw chairs at people and intimidate them with your motorized wheelchair.
So we'll say
There's behavior.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And,
people
that,
don't. Yeah, people don't realize that. As we get older, we get a little bit more brash. But those places, a lot of them have a really strict behavioral, and because they don't want it to go throughout and be contagious, as well as they don't want their caregivers to get abused, sue, or get abused and burn out.
yeah.
So being evicted isn't unheard of, just so everyone knows.
Yep. I've had others that I've encountered through this process, the same thing. But when you are older and everything is stripped from your life in one fell swoop, you're a trapped animal in a cage. And you feel like you have no control, and human nature steers you into trying to do whatever you can to maintain something, and it usually comes out in the wrong form.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's uh, it's great that I mean, we thank you for telling your story, and it's going to go hand in hand with what we're talking about during the master class. And one of the first things that the slides on there, it's all about control, um, and we have to understand that when we're talking to seniors and their families, we're going, oh, dad's lashing out. Anytime I talk about him moving or downsizing, he just lashes out at me, and it just shuts down the conversation. And the whole thing is they're losing control. As we get older, we lose control of our physical, abilities.
Yep.
The body hurts more, we're not able to get up and down, and it confines us. Maybe we love golf and now we can't golf anymore, and it starts irritating us. And then cognitively, we start losing our memories. We stop remembering things the way we used to be able to. We're not as quick thinkers and it frustrates. And then medically, we know our health is declining. So in theory, one of the few things they believe they can control is where they live. And they believe if they give up their house, they're going to give up control in way more ways than we understand. And so this is why they lash out. So it's having a different conversation. If we start the conversation with, "Oh yeah, we need to move," or we're going to lose that battle 99.999% of the time. But unfortunately, in like it's perfect example of Mark's situation, when you wait till the crisis happens, then you go into crisis mode. And, I have a very similar story with my neighbor. She ended up going to three different assisted living cares because she couldn't find the right community for her. And by the third one, she died 3 weeks later. And we truly believe it's because she kept moving, the stresses of moving and, the complications, the frustrations. Some of them, one of them was the lack of care that she was getting. And she was angry. I mean, she was 90 something years old, lived by herself, was totally independent. Like she didn't want anyone doing any of these things. And when they came up and checked up on her every single time, she didn't like it. That was one of the reasons why she moved, is because same thing. She was throwing things at them. She even threw food at them. So I think we have to do it. So going back into Mark, let's just like full circle this. Your business is growing. You built up these relationships. Do you have a plan that you meet with these 12 placement agents and three attorneys on a monthly basis? Like, what does that non-negotiable and a daily aspect look like for you in those relationships alone?
Um, no, I don't have any non-negotiables with that. Um, what I do is I keep them updated throughout each transaction. My communication is impeccable, constant, detailed, and they find it of value. The placement specialists, particularly, not so much the attorneys. That's time wasting to them. Uh, but the placement specialists find it crucial because what I'm tasked with, understand first that placement specialists are sending you people who are needing yesterday, not a month or 6 months from now. So the urgency is high. And They need to know how much equity is in the house as quickly as possible to know which facilities they're going to qualify for. And if there's enough for, whether it's going to be a 6 or a 12 month uh, self pay period or more. And a lot of these people, a lot of Americans are poor and they don't have what they need. And you need to be able to move quickly. And then you need to be able to fill in the blanks because these placement specialists they don't have as much time to have all the in-depth conversations. So I learn things that are crucial for them to know and understand better about their client, our mutual client. And so when I provide that value, they think it's great. And so I'm constantly in communication with them to the point where they don't even I've asked them if they want to go get coffee, catch up, whatever. Most of the time it's like, well, I'm kind of busy. So but we're in constant communication, so I don't know that I have to nurture them so much. Um, if there's a lot of downtime and quiet in between, then I check in with that placement specialist or that attorney. But otherwise, it's sort of on autopilot.
Communicate. I would say, do you have, Sony asked, do you have a checklist?
Um, I have checklists for checklists. Um, I'm very left brain detailed, maybe to a fault. So I do have checklists. It's all built in my app. I haven't had time to put it into my CRM where I have the automation for the emails and texts to go to people. That is something I had hoped to get to this last winter, but I was too busy in what would normally be my downtime. So I'm struggling right now. I've been almost drowning. So I'm currently able to keep my customer service from suffering, but yeah, I have checklists. I couldn't do it without that. They're on my to-do list, combined with checklists, all in the same place. So
One thing I could maybe possibly recommend is looking for agents in your office that
I'm
maybe are,
it.
go ahead.
It's just me and my broker.
It's you and your broker. Okay.
That's
So
it.
then
Yeah,
maybe looking for, maybe like on Indeed, looking for a transaction coordinator that maybe,
with a heavy
um, huh?
heavy admin skills.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
what I
like
need as an admin. So
I
yeah,
have one, I have a transaction coordinator. She handles all the paperwork, but I have a client care coordinator. She's an agent that's been an agent for 30 years. She's done with the prospecting and the grinding. So now she just acts as my client care coordinator. She still does her own business, but every Monday and Friday, she's the one that communicates with all parties in the transaction, the client, the agents, escrow, title. So it alleviates me from having to do that. So I think maybe as your business, I always say like 20 deals, that's when you start needing to leverage yourself. And that's the only way you're going to keep scaling and keep delivering high level service.
yeah,
So in the very beginning, when I meet with a client, I tell them, look, if it has anything to do with paperwork, Jolene is who you're going to contact, and she's the one that's going to be doing it all. If it has anything to do with updating communication, Nancy's going to be doing that. Now, you can always come to me, but the way I deliver high level service is by having a company help with this whole thing.
yeah,
If you ever feel like we're not delivering a 5-star service, I want you to call me immediately and say you're not delivering on that 5-star service and tell me what we can do to remedy it. Don't let it go even one day past you feeling we're not doing a good job. Um, and it helps me do it, and that's how I can do 13 deals in a month and still deliver the high service that we're doing. Um, and then I would say your next person that you want to leverage is finding a buyer's agent and tell that buyer's agent, you are here to service my buyers on a very, very high level. This is what I expect from you. Um, and in my opinion, you underpay them and over bonus them. So,
right.
hey, you're going to make 25%. And as you do well, I'll bonus you out. Or if a client really raves about you, I'll bonus you out. Because if you pay them too much, they'll make too much money and then they'll go
Yep.
and they'll be on their way. Um, or they'll, if they, if you, hey, you're going to give you 65%, they'll almost feel that client is theirs and they'll try to come in between that relationship. This is just what I've learned from having at least 40 people through my team in the last 2 years.
Sure.
Um, anyone
In the
else
last
have
how many
something
years?
with 2 years? So
Okay.
I started my team 2023, January 2023, and I had 23 people at one time on my team was the most I had. But I've gone through at least 40 different people coming on my team. What I figured most teams do, or at least what I did, because I wasn't trying to make them a feed the beast mentality teammate. I was trying to make them a partner and train them where to fish and how to catch the fish.
Mhm.
And what I ended up doing is just training my future competition. So I'm no longer doing that anymore.
Mhm.
I'm going to go back to the way I didn't want it to be is feed the beast mentality. I'm going to keep them just poor enough to stay on my team until they can prove their loyalty. Then I'll start, teaching them the secrets and the trades and stuff because that was discouraging. To say the least. Anyone else have something they want to touch on with the non-negotiables, or any way we can help point some direction with the non-negotiables, or things that should be on your non-negotiables? Going once, going twice. All right. Gone. So what I can tell you is, in your business, if you're one, you should always have goals. And I truly believe in the power of written goals. I've done, master classes on it. I believe it's why I'm so successful because I have a very elaborate goal setting system. And then I read those goals morning, lunch, and dinner every single day. My mind, it's impossible for me not to achieve these goals. So all my mind is constantly thinking and intending and accomplishing these goals. I can't get away from them. So I would say if your business isn't where you want it to be at this point in time in the year, May is listing month. This is our heavy month. May, June, July, those are the most active months you're going to do in most areas. So your business that's today started 6 months ago. Prospecting is the number one thing you need to do in this business, and really any sales business, any business period, even Wendy's. If they're not doing prospecting, that's why they constantly market, even though everyone knows who Wendy's is. And in your prospecting, if your business isn't where it should be, 4 to 6 hours of prospecting every single day. And if you're saying, well, I don't even work 6 hours a day, then I think you should look at your goals, and that your goals should reflect a 6 hour or less work day. Um, And in prospecting, you got to have, in my opinion, 3 to 5 pillars. You should have your one bread and butter, maybe two bread and butters that most of your business is coming from, and the rest of it should be feeders. Like today, I sponsor golf tournaments. I try to sponsor one charity golf tournament every single month. It's a way that I'm going to meet 136 new people today. I'm going to get maybe 5 minutes with them, maybe a little bit more while they're on the tee box. And I know my elevator pitch to say to each and every single one of them. And my whole goal is if I can get one person, one new person to come into my database from today, it's worth it. I also, part of it is I give away tee time for three at a really nice golf course near me, and I do it for two different groups. So now I'm going to go get 4 hours uninterrupted with three people on one day and three more people on another day. So there's six people that I have a chance to kind of tell them what I do, build rapport with them, have a passion that we share, which is golf, um, and bring them into my database. So all 136 will go into my database. I will invite them to future golf tournaments. I will invite them to my golf tournaments. People that I vibed with, I'll ask them if they want to go play golf on Wednesday because I play golf every Wednesday. So that's just a feeder program. And I actually had one person come on my team that met me at a golf course. And I've done probably in the last 12 months, probably 3 to 5 deals from golf tournament people. So you want to have, I call it my passion niche, something that you love to do, something that you're like, hey, this completes my life. If I'm able to do this, I have fun, I love it, and build a group around it or build an event around it. If you don't like, golf, then I wouldn't say necessarily volunteer or sponsor these golf tournaments. But if you have maybe you want to be about the dementia or Alzheimer's Association or Teachers Association or something like that, go to them and ask them, hey, do they throw tournaments? Can I sponsor your tournament? The way I do it, I tell them, look, I don't spend $1,000 to $2,500 on sponsorships. That's not me. What I will do is I'll sponsor a hole-in-one $10,000 contest, and I'll give away two different prizes for a round of three. I'm bringing people into that tournament, and I'm helping them have like a golden goose or a carrot for that tournament. The joke is for me a $10,000 hole-in-one contest for 136 people is $306. So I get a hole sponsor, I get to set up my tent on the hole, which no one else gets to do, and I get to meet these people. And realistically, I spent $306 here, 150 on one of the giveaways, another 150. So I'm spending maybe $600 total for the tournament, and I'm getting what they would consider a gold sponsor at $2,000 or $4,000, depending on the tournament. So it's just a little way to go about it. I have 3 minutes. I just saw Sonia's question about my client care coordinator. So my client care coordinator, again, I pay her 10% of the commission. So it could be a pretty big paycheck, in my opinion, for what she does. But I don't have to worry about following up. I don't have to worry about communicating every Monday and Friday. My clients get 5-star service, and she handles everything other than there being a fire that's out of her threshold or out of her purview. Um, she handles everything. And I tell everybody right up front, I do all the negotiations, but right when we get an offer accepted, I call the agent up and I just say, hey, I just want to let you know, congratulations, we're in escrow. Please communicate with us with anytime something goes wrong. But from this point on, my transaction coordinator named Jolena and my client care coordinator named Nancy, they handle everything and I don't get involved. And it's not that we're not involved. We're going to communicate with you every Monday and Friday. And if you don't do so, give me a call because I want you to be updated what's going on. I want you to do the same thing anytime you hear fires happening. But I'm on to the next deal. This is just how me and my team work. And everyone appreciates it. Um, and it's worth to me. I always like those, my transaction coordinator and my client care coordinator, I overpay. So I pay double, well, actually now triple what a normal transaction coordinator makes in my area because I don't want to touch paperwork. It's my arch nemesis. And I don't want to double check it. I just sign, 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 sign. Now she's a licensed broker, so we legally can do that in California. But I don't have to worry about paperwork. And my client care coordinator, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So both of them are worth everything. I pay $1,000 to my TC. But she handles all MLS input. She handles the listing contract, all the offers, the counter offers, every piece of paperwork in escrow. I don't touch paperwork. I don't even know my DocuSign login. I don't know my MLS login. That is not my job. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at building relationships. And as of late, I like public speaking. That's where I have my skill sets on. I built a business. I am not a salesperson or consultant. I own a business and that's what I run. And then again, my client care coordinator, like on this last deal, she made $2,500 for doing it. But it's worth, it's worth every single penny of it. Also what I do is because I'm pretty demanding, I'll call at 9 o'clock at night and they'll have to, whatever I want them to do, they'll have to do because I'm paying them triple of what they're probably worth. Um, I mean, you could probably find a client care coordinator, and I like doing it on percentage that would probably do it for 5%, and they'd still be making a pretty good penny for it. But they're all licensed. That's the one thing. I do have to take my kids to school. I will be back as close to 8 o'clock for the master class about the identifying the pain points for seniors and their families planning for the future and beyond. I thank you guys all, and I will see you guys soon.